Imagine standing on the edge of a battlefield. Two warriors destined to clash, their father's legacies burning in the background like a fire that refuses to die. The tension is electric, the stakes higher than ever. You've clicked on this video because you need the answer. Who wins? Who walks away victorious? And more importantly, who crumbles under the weight of expectation? Stay with me because I'm about to take you deeper than just names and records. I'm going to break this fight down like no one else has. Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn aren't just two fighters set to throw punches in a ring. They are symbols of something much bigger. This is history repeating itself with a new, unpredictable twist. Their fathers, legends in their own right, once stood across from each other, and now their sons are set to rekindle a rivalry that never truly died. But here's where it gets even more interesting. This fight almost never happened. It was supposed to go down before, but controversy, drama, and an unexpected turn of events delayed it, leaving fans hanging, wondering if they'd ever see these two actually step through the ropes together. And now, the time has finally arrived. The bad blood is real, the emotions are raw, and one mistake could cost everything. Let's talk about the chaos leading up to this moment. If you've been following, you already know this fight has been surrounded by controversy from the start. When their first bout was announced, the excitement was off the charts. It was set to be one of the biggest grudge matches in boxing history. But then, the bombshell dropped. Benn failed 2 drug tests, and the fight was scrapped. The boxing world was left stunned. Fans were furious, and questions filled the air. Was the failed test legitimate? Was there an explanation? It didn't matter because the fight was dead in the water. Eubank was left in limbo, forced to find another challenge, and that led him to Liam Smith. But what happened next? Something no one saw coming. Eubank was brutally stopped, knocked down and out for the first time in his career. It was a moment that shook his entire reputation. Here's where things get interesting. Many believe Eubank's shocking loss wasn't just about Smith being the better man on the night. No, there was something deeper at play. The weight cut. To face Benn, Eubank had been forced to drop a huge amount of weight, something his body simply wasn't used to. And when he stepped in against Smith, drained and weakened, the consequences were disastrous. But here's the twist: he came back. Eubank wasn't done. He demanded a rematch, and when they met again, he made sure there was no doubt. He avenged the loss, and not just with a win, but with a dominant knockout. And that wasn't all. He followed it up with another KO victory just months later. It was a clear message to the boxing world. Eubank Jr. was back, and he was stronger than ever. But what about Conor Benn? What about the man who was supposed to fight Eubank all along? Here's where the fight gets even more complicated. Benn is coming into this war as the underdog not because of his skills, but because of the size difference. He is naturally a 147-pound fighter. That's where he belongs. That's where he's done his damage. But for this fight, he's moving up 2 full weight classes to meet Eubank at 160. That's not just a small adjustment, that's a mountain to climb. But make no mistake, Benn is not someone who backs down from a challenge. If you've watched him fight, you know his style is relentless. He comes forward like a man possessed, throwing bombs, breaking down his opponents, refusing to take a step backward. He fights like someone with something to prove, like someone who isn't just fighting for himself, but for his entire legacy. And now, the big question: who wins? If you ask Joe Calzaghe, one of the greatest to ever step in the ring, he gives the Eubank. And the reason? Size. As he said himself, when two fighters are closely matched in skill, the bigger man usually wins. And in this case, that bigger man is Eubank. He's the natural middleweight. He's the one who has spent his career facing bigger, stronger opponents. And even though there's a clause preventing him from weighing more than 10 pounds over the limit on the morning of the fight, he can still add weight after that. That means when the bell rings, he could be significantly heavier than Benn. That's an advantage that can't be ignored. But here's the thing about boxing, it's never that simple. If size was the only factor, we'd never see upsets. We'd never see underdogs rise. We'd never see history rewritten. And that's exactly what makes this fight so fascinating. Eubank might be the bigger man, but Benn is the one with something to prove. He's the one who has been doubted, who has had to fight through the cloud of controversy, who has been told time and time again that he doesn't belong at this weight. That kind of motivation can push a fighter to do the impossible. And in a fight like this, all it takes is one mistake, one moment of hesitation, one opening, and everything can change. So as we count down the days, as the anticipation reaches its peak, one thing is clear, this is more than just a fight. This is personal. This is unfinished business. This is about proving a point, about silencing doubters, about making a statement that will be remembered for years to come. The question is, who will be the one to do it? Who will stand tall when the dust settles? Will Eubank's size and experience carry him to victory? Or will Benn's hunger and relentless pressure shock the world? And here's where you come in. You've been waiting for the answer, but now I want to hear from you. Who do you think has the edge? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this fight isn't just about them. It's about all of us who live for these moments. And trust me, when that bell rings, the world will be watching. Now, if you're ready for what happens next, let me know, and I'll bring you the second part, the part where we dive even deeper, where we break down the final pieces of this puzzle, and where we get even closer to the truth. Let me know if you're ready, because things are about to get even more intense. Now, let's take this even deeper. You've made it this far because you want the full picture, the raw truth behind what's about to unfold between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. This isn't just hype. This isn't just another boxing match. This is an event built on history, fueled by rivalry, and driven by the kind of trauma that makes the sport unforgettable. And as we move closer to fight night, the energy is only getting stronger. The tension, palpable. The stakes, higher than ever. And the outcome, completely unpredictable. So, let's break it down, step by step, move by move. We've talked about the build-up, the controversy, the history. But what happens when these two finally step through the ropes and stare each other down under the bright lights? What happens when months, no, years of animosity finally explode in a fight where there's no more talking, no more excuses, no more outside noise? Just two fighters, two legacies, and one defining moment. Chris Eubank Jr., a fighter who carries himself with an almost arrogant confidence. A man who was born into the sport and molded by a father whose name still sends shivers down the spines of many. Eubank Jr. is an enigma in many ways, flashy yet composed. Charismatic yet cold-blooded when the moment calls for it. He's been in big fights, he's taken risks, he's faced criticism, and through it all, he's remained the same, a fighter who truly believes that no one can touch him when he's at his best. But here's the key, when he's at his best. Because we've seen what happens when he isn't. We saw it against Liam Smith in that first fight. We saw him look vulnerable, exposed, unsure of himself for the first time. And in boxing, once a fighter shows they can be broken, the doubt never fully leaves. On the other side, Conor Benn, a man who wasn't supposed to make it this far. Unlike Eubank, he didn't grow up with the same level of expectation. He didn't have the natural gifts people assumed he would. No, he had to carve his own path step by step, fight by fight. And he did it with a fire that few fighters possess. Every punch he throws is meant to hurt, every exchange is personal, and every fight is another chapter in proving the doubters wrong. But here's where the risk comes in. He's stepping into unknown territory, facing a man naturally bigger and stronger, a man who knows what it feels like to be in wars with true middleweights. That's the challenge Benn faces, and the question is, will his hunger be enough to overcome the physical disadvantage? Let's talk strategy. If Eubank wants to win this fight, there's a clear path to victory. Use his jab, keep the distance, stay composed, and let his size do the work. He has the tools to do it. He's fought at this weight for years. He understands how to control space, and when he's patient, he can break a man down piece by piece. But here's the thing, Eubank doesn't always fight the smart fight. He loves to showboat. He loves to prove a point. And in doing so, he sometimes allows himself to get drawn into unnecessary exchanges. That's where the danger lies. If he underestimates Benn's power, if he gets caught up in the emotion of the fight, if he allows Benn to turn this into a dogfight, things could spiral fast. For Benn, the strategy is just as clear: pressure, pressure, and more pressure. He can't afford to let Eubank settle into a rhythm. He has to make this fight ugly. He has to make Eubank uncomfortable, force him into mistakes, test his chin early, and most importantly, never let him breathe. If Benn fights the perfect fight, if he takes Eubank into deep waters, where size no longer matters and willpower takes over, that's where the upset becomes real. But let's not forget the X factor: weight. Eubank may have the size advantage, but that doesn't mean his body is handling it well. Cutting weight, gaining it back, managing conditioning, it's a science, and one miscalculation can change everything. We've already seen what happened when he wasn't at full strength against Smith. What if something similar happens here? What if the cut weakens him again? What if the extra weight slows him down? These are the unknowns that make this fight impossible to predict. Now, let's go deeper into the psychological battle. Because, as much as this is a fight between two skilled boxers, it's also a fight between two egos, two men who refuse to be the one who walks away in defeat. For Eubank, losing to Benn would be devastating. It would shatter his image, destroy his reputation, and leave him with nowhere to go. He's already taken losses, but this would be different. This would be personal. This would be unforgivable. For Benn, a loss wouldn't just hurt his career, it would stain his name forever. After the controversy surrounding his failed drug tests, a defeat would give his critics all the ammunition they need to bury him. He needs this win not just for himself, but for his redemption. That's why this fight is so compelling. Because it's not just about skill. It's about pressure. It's about who breaks first, who hesitates, who doubts themselves in the heat of battle. Because in a fight like this, that's all it takes: 1 second of uncertainty, one mistake, one moment where the mind wavers, and it's over. So now, the final question: who will it be? If you ask the experts, they'll tell you Eubank has the edge. If you ask the believers, they'll tell you Benn has the fire to shock the world. But when that bell rings, none of the talk matters. It's just two men, two names, two legacies, and one defining fight. And now I turn it to you. Who do you see standing victorious when the dust settles? Do you believe in the size and experience of Eubank? Or do you believe in the relentless will of Benn? Drop your predictions in the comments, because this is the kind of fight where every opinion matters. And if you thought this was intense, just wait, because after this fight, no matter the outcome, the story isn't over. Stay tuned, because what happens next might be even bigger than this fight itself.